The Empress's unshakable throne, the great hall of the Zyrian palace, shimmered with golden light. Every wall carved with scenes of victory, every pillar wrapped in banners from conquered worlds. The Alien Empress sat high upon her throne of black stone, her robe flowing like a river of starlight, her eyes sharp and cold. For decades she had ruled without question, her empire stretching across half the galaxy. Today was no different, or so she believed, outside her palace. Millions of citizens bowed in silent respect, her name spoken only in whispers, not out of love but out of fear. The Empress had crushed every rebellion, defeated every rival, and broken every enemy who dared challenge her. To her, humans were nothing, a primitive species who once fought against her fleets, but were easily defeated in the past. Their planets burned, their fleets scattered. Her throne room was filled with her most loyal advisors, warriors, and diplomats. They brought her reports from every corner of the empire. Trade routes were steady, taxes flowed, and the borders were quiet. One of her generals, an old reptilian veteran, stepped forward and bowed. "Your Radiance, a small human fleet has been spotted near the outer rim. It appears to be only a few ships, perhaps a scouting party," he said. The Empress leaned back and smiled faintly, her voice like smooth glass. "Humans are desperate traders now, not warriors. Ignore them," she said, her laughter echoing in the vast hall. The other aliens joined her laughter, as if the idea of humans posing a threat was nothing but a joke. Then, a young officer entered quickly, his scales pale with fear. He bowed low before speaking. "Your Radiance, we intercepted a strange human transmission." His voice trembled. The Empress gestured for him to continue. The officer pressed a small crystal device, and the hall filled with a deep, steady human voice. The words were simple, clear, and cold. "We are coming, and we are not alone." Then the message ended. The silence in the throne room was heavy. The Empress's smile faded just slightly, but she quickly covered it. "A bluff," she said, her tone firm. "Humans like to speak with drama, but they have nothing." She waved her hand as if pushing away the thought, but inside her mind, a seed of unease had been planted. Her most trusted advisor, an insectoid elder with silver eyes, stepped forward. "My Empress, perhaps it is wise to investigate. The humans are not fools. If they send such a message, it means they wish you to hear it." The Empress's gaze sharpened. She rose from her throne slowly, her tall figure casting a shadow over the hall. "Send the Shadow Network," she ordered, her voice low but commanding. The Shadow Network was her empire's most feared spy force. They could slip into any world, any government, and return with secrets no one else could obtain. Find out what the humans are planning. Leave no world unwatched, no ship untracked. Her words sent a shiver through the gathered officers. They bowed and left to obey. Only the Empress and her closest circle remained. She walked toward the great window of her throne room, the glass showing the endless city of the capital planet. Spires of crystal rising into the sky, ships gliding like silver birds between them. It was a symbol of her power, a power that had never been broken. Yet, as she looked at the stars beyond, she felt a strange sensation she had not known in years. The sense that something vast and unstoppable was moving against her. Something she could not yet see, but could feel like a shadow on her back, in her mind. She remembered the few humans she had met in person during past negotiations. They had eyes that burned, not with fear, but with a kind of stubborn fire. They were the only species that had ever fought her fleets to a standstill, even if only for a short time. But that was years ago. She reminded herself the humans had been scattered, their colonies shattered, their military destroyed. They had no power left. Still, why would they send that message? Her fingers tapped lightly against the window glass, the sound echoing softly, her mind calculating. If humans were planning something, she would crush it before it began. She turned sharply, her robe swirling. Around her, "Prepare the War Council," she commanded. "If the humans think they can threaten me, They will learn the cost of arrogance. The great drums of the palace began to sound deep and powerful, sending the signal across the capital. Fleets would be readied, scouts dispatched, but in her heart, hidden beneath layers of pride, the Empress knew this was no ordinary threat. The words from the transmission echoed in her mind again. "We are coming, and we are not alone," and for the first time in decades, she felt something she had almost forgotten, the taste of fear. Whispers in the outer rim far from the shining heart of the Zarian Empire. Beyond the safe trade routes and patrolled star lanes lay the outer rim, a region of scattered worlds and lonely stations drifting among the stars. Here, news traveled like shadows, carried from port to port by wandering traders, smugglers, and mercenaries. It was here that the first whispers began, on a dusty refueling outpost orbiting a dying red star. A group of alien freighters huddled together in the dim light of a cantina, their voices low, their eyes darting to the corners of the room. They spoke of strange sightings, of giant shapes moving silently through the void, one lizard-skinned pilot swore he had seen a ship so large that it blocked out the stars for nearly an hour. "They had no flags, no markings," the pilot whispered, his claws tapping nervously on the table. "But they were human. I could feel it. The way the engines pulsed, the way the hull was shaped. They were human ships, but not like any I've ever seen before." Most of the listeners scoffed, shaking their heads. Humans were a broken people. Everyone knew that. Their fleets destroyed long ago. Their colonies left to rot. The idea of them building something powerful enough to frighten the outer rim was laughable. But the pilot's eyes held no humor, only fear. In the weeks that followed, more whispers spread. A mining colony near the Kever Belt reported their long-range sensors, picking up dozens of unknown ships. When the local patrol fleet moved in to investigate, the signals vanished into deep space, as if they had never been there. A smuggler carrying rare minerals claimed he had been shadowed for 3 days by a massive vessel that never fired, never hailed, never even showed on his scanners. It was only visible when it passed in front of the stars, its black hull swallowing the light. The Zyrian military took notice. At first, they dismissed these stories as fear-mongering, but soon the reports grew too frequent to ignore. The Empress herself received them in her palace, reading the words in silence, her claws pressing into the arm of her throne. She dispatched scouts to the outer rim, ordering them to move quietly and report everything. What they found sent ripples of unease through the Empire. On the border station of Taurik IV, one scout intercepted a coded message between 2 alien traders. It spoke of a ghost fleet moving between uncharted systems, each ship armed with weapons no one could identify. The traders mentioned a symbol painted on their hulls, a blue and white mark, shaped like a rising star, a symbol that the Empress knew well. It was the mark of the United Human Systems. The information reached the War Council quickly. Generals argued in the Great Chamber. Some claimed the humans were bluffing. Others said they had received help from another galactic power. One grizzled admiral warned that humans did not bluff if they were building ships. It meant they planned to use them. Meanwhile, in the farthest corner of the outer rim, a lone figure moved quietly through a shadowed market. Cloaked in layers of fabric to hide her form, she was the Empress's chosen assassin, known only as Cerise. Her orders were clear: find the humans, discover what they were building, and return with proof. Cerise had infiltrated dangerous worlds before, but the rim was different now. The air felt tense. The people spoke less. Traders glanced over their shoulders as if afraid to be overheard. She stopped in front of an old, one-eyed mechanic repairing a freighter's landing gear. "I'm looking for human ships," she said softly, sliding a handful of credits into his clawed hand. The mechanic's gaze flicked nervously toward the shadows. "You don't want to find them," he murmured. "You want to pray they don't find you." But Cerise pressed on. Days later, she reached a forgotten refueling station in orbit around a frozen moon. The docking bays were quiet. but her sensors picked up faint energy trails in the distance. She followed them, guiding her small vessel into the darkness beyond the system's edge. Then, she saw it, through the viewing screen. A massive silhouette drifted into view, its size unlike anything she had ever encountered. The ship's surface was covered in armor that shimmered faintly, absorbing the light of nearby stars. Its shape was sleek yet brutal, a predator's form built for war, and behind it, more shapes emerged, one by one, until the space before her was filled with them. Hundreds of them. Cerise's heart pounded, her fingers trembling as she activated her recorder. This was no rumor, no shadow fleet. This was real. She turned her ship away, heading for hyperspace. But as she prepared to jump, a voice came through her comms, calm, clear, and human. "We know you are watching. Tell your Empress we are coming." The signal cut. The fleet vanished into the void, leaving only silence. Cerise sat frozen for a long moment, her breath shaking, in the capital. The Empress waited for her assassin's return, unaware that the proof she would receive would shatter the calm she had clung to for so long. Eyes on the shipyard, Cerise returned to the capital, carrying a recording that chilled even the most battle-hardened generals. The Empress watched the images in silence. Hundreds of massive vessels, each one unlike anything in known space, moving as one in perfect formation. Her claws tapped against the armrest of her throne, slow and steady. The recording ended with the human voice, calm yet sharp as a blade. "Tell your Empress we are coming." The War Council was called immediately, the great chamber filled with commanders, spies, and political advisors. Many argued the recording must be an illusion, a trick meant to inspire fear. Others, their voices low, warned that humans were capable of the impossible. The Empress said little. She only looked at Cerise, her eyes narrowing. "You have seen them with your own eyes," she said. Cerise bowed. "Yes, my Empress. And there is more. I know where they are building the rest." A hush fell over the room. Cerise explained how she had tracked the human supply routes back to the heart of their territory, how she had followed coded transmissions through shadow channels until they led to one place, the Sol system. The Empress rose from her seat, the motion sending a ripple of unease through the council. "You will go back," she commanded. "You will enter their home system. You will find these shipyards, and you will tell me everything." Within days, Cerise was gone again, traveling under the false identity of a wandering trader. Her ship carried harmless cargo, food supplies, textiles, small tools, nothing to attract attention. The journey to Sol was long. The closer she came, the heavier the space traffic became. Alien merchants, transport convoys, and civilian vessels moved in carefully managed lanes. But the further inward she traveled, the more she noticed a change. The civilian ships became fewer, replaced by armed escorts and silent patrol craft that scanned every traveler. At the edge of the Sol system, she encountered a checkpoint unlike anything she had seen. Massive orbital platforms hung in space like watchtowers, each bristling with weapon arrays. Humans controlled every approach, their inspection teams moving with precision and discipline. Cerise submitted to the scan, her cover holding. The human officers barely spoke, their faces calm but their eyes sharp. Once cleared, she was waved through without delay. From there, she moved deeper into the system, past the glittering blue of Earth, past the great rings of Saturn, past the red deserts of Mars, until she reached Jupiter. And there, her breath caught. Before her stretched a sight so vast her mind struggled to take it in. The space around Jupiter was alive with motion. Countless shipyards floated in the giant planet's shadow, each one a sprawling lattice of steel and light. Hundreds of construction bays, each holding a vessel in some stage of completion. Some were only skeletal frames, others were nearly finished, their dark armor gleaming under the artificial lights. Cerise maneuvered her ship closer, pretending to be on a trade route. Her scanners quietly recorded every detail. She counted them. 100, 200, 500. The number kept climbing. Every ship was built for war. No decorative plating, no wasted space. Every line of the hull spoke of speed, power, and destruction. The weapons mounted on their flanks were unfamiliar. Some seemed to bend light around them. Others shimmered with a faint, pulsing energy that made her sensors glitch. She realized with a slow, cold dread that these were not defensive ships. These were designed to strike in the central dock. She saw something even more terrifying. A vessel so large that the other warships looked like escorts beside it. Its hull was covered in thick armor. Its prow shaped like the edge of a blade. Enormous cannons lined its spine. She could feel the threat it carried, even through her ship's hull. Cerise kept recording, her fingers shaking slightly. But then something strange happened. One of the massive ships turned toward her, its running lights shifting. Her scanners lit up with a signal. She had been detected. Her cover should have been blown, yet no weapons locked onto her. Instead, her comms crackled to life. A human voice spoke, calm and without anger. "You may watch. Cerise of the Zyrian Empire. Take this back to your Empress." She froze, her blood running cold. They knew who she was. They had known all along. She thought of fleeing, but instead, she held her position, recording everything they allowed her to see. The humans made no move to stop her. It was as if they wanted the Empress to know, to see, to understand what was coming. Finally, she turned her ship away, engaging her jump drive, her mind heavy with the weight of what she had witnessed. As she vanished into hyperspace, she could still see the image burned into her memory, minus 3,000 warships of doom, waiting in silence for the day they would move. Back in the palace, the Empress waited, unaware that the knowledge she was about to receive would shake even her unshakable throne. The Council in panic. The Galactic Council Chamber was a place where the most powerful rulers of the known galaxy gathered. It was a ring of high thrones and elevated seats, each one belonging to a different empire, species, or alliance. The ceiling was made of transparent crystal, showing the endless stars above. On this day, the air inside was heavy, the walls hummed with tension. The Empress of the Zyrian Empire stood at the center of the chamber, her black and silver robes flowing behind her like the shadow of a storm. In her hands, she carried a crystal data shard, the evidence brought back by her assassin. Cerise, around her, the rulers of other species murmured to one another. Some curious, some dismissive, a few openly hostile. The council had heard rumors of human activity, but most believed it was nothing more than scattered ships and harmless rebuilding. The Empress's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. "Enough!" The chamber fell silent. She stepped forward, her gaze sweeping across the gathered rulers. "You have heard whispers, you have ignored warnings, but now you will see." She placed the shard into the central projection device. A beam of blue light shot upward, forming a massive holographic image above the chamber. Gasps echoed as the vision took shape. The vast shipyards of Jupiter, hundreds of construction bays, and thousands of warships in different stages of completion. The image shifted, showing ships in perfect formation, their dark hulls gleaming under artificial light. Then it focused on the largest vessel, a behemoth bristling with weapons that no alien mind could understand. A voice, human, calm, and unshaken, filled the chamber. "Tell your Empress we are coming." When the projection ended, the silence was deep and unnatural. It lasted only a heartbeat before the chamber erupted. Voices shouted over one another, some in anger, some in fear, some demanding immediate action. A hulking reptilian warlord slammed his clawed fist onto the arm of his seat. "This is a fabrication. Humans do not have the resources for this," he growled, his tail lashing behind him. A frail but cunning insectoid queen hissed in reply, "You are blind. Humans have been quiet for too long." No one stays quiet without purpose. The leader of the Orlac Union leaned forward, his mechanical eyes glowing. "If this is true, the balance of power in the galaxy is already broken." The Empress stood unmoving, letting them fight with words. Then she raised her hand. The noise died down. You think this is a lie," she said coldly. "Then explain how my agent returned with this footage after standing in their shipyards." She let the words sink in before continuing. "You think I fear nothing, yet I tell you now, if we do not act, if we do not crush them before they move, the galaxy will kneel to humanity." Her words sent another wave of murmurs through the chamber. Some of the rulers nodded in grim agreement. Others still refused to believe, an elder from the councils. Central Alliance leaned on his staff, his voice old and tired. "We cannot fight the humans together or apart without knowing their numbers, their weapons, their alliances. If they have 3,000 ships as you claim, then they will not need diplomacy." The Empress's eyes hardened. 3,000. "Warships are not a claim, they are a fact," she said, her voice cold as steel. One ruler of a minor star kingdom laughed bitterly. "If they truly have this power, then perhaps the galaxy should bend the knee now. Better to serve than be destroyed." The Empress turned her gaze to him like a blade. "If you wish to kneel, do it alone. The Zyrian Empire will not bow to humans." The debate raged for hours, alliances fraying in real time. Some rulers argued for negotiation, others demanded a preemptive strike. A few even suggested abandoning the outer rim entirely and fortifying their own borders. Through it all, the Empress stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her mind racing. She had not expected such division. She had hoped the council would unite under her call to arms. Instead, she saw fear breaking them apart. Finally, she stepped forward again, her voice cutting through the chaos. "The humans are not waiting for us to decide. They are already moving. Every day we waste here is another day they prepare. Another day their fleet grows stronger." The insectoid queen spoke again, her many eyes glittering. "And what if your warning is already too late, Empress? What if their fleet is ready now?" The question hung in the air like a shadow. The Empress did not answer directly. Instead, she turned to leave, her voice low but sharp enough for all to hear. "If the council will not stand together, then I will stand alone, and when the humans arrive, do not beg me for protection." Her words left a bitter silence in her wake. As she stepped out of the council chamber, Cerise was waiting in the corridor, her expression grim. "They don't believe, do they?" she asked quietly. The Empress's jaw tightened. "Some believe, but belief will not save them. Fear will not save them, only power will, far above." Beyond the crystal dome of the chamber, the stars glittered silently. Somewhere among them, the human fleet moved in the dark, unseen, unstoppable. The first shadow, the border of the Zyrian Empire, was a restless place. A chain of star systems guarded by fortified stations and patrolling fleets. For years these borders had been calm, no serious threats, no real challenges. But that calm broke without warning. It began with the silent appearance of a single vessel. It emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Vraxis sector, alone, dark, moving with slow purpose. The automated defense satellites picked it up instantly. Alarms blared across the border stations, and patrol fleets moved to intercept from the command deck of the Zyrian battleship Bloodfang. Admiral Krell watched the object approach. "Zoom on the target," he ordered. The view screen filled with the image of a massive warship, unlike anything he had seen before. Its black hull absorbed the light of nearby stars. Its edges were sharp, almost predatory. Krell frowned. "No identification, no transponder signal." He muttered, "Send a hail." The comms officer obeyed, but there was no reply. The alien ship continued to drift closer. Not changing course, not speeding up, not slowing down. "Scan it," Krell ordered, his voice growing tense. But the scans came back broken. Strange energy signatures distorted every reading. A younger officer at the side console looked up in shock. "Admiral, this ship is human." The word sent a ripple of disbelief across the bridge. Krell stared at the image. "Impossible," he growled. But deep inside, he remembered the Empress's warning. Within minutes, the Bloodfang and 2 escort cruisers formed an attack line, weapons powered up, targeting systems locked. Send a final warning, Krell said, but again there was no reply. Only silence, then, without a flash, without any visible weapon fire. The lead escort cruiser vanished. One moment it was there, the next, it was a drifting wreck, its hull torn apart and perfect. Surgical cuts, shields to maximum, fire all weapons. Krell roared. The Zyrian fleet unleashed a storm of plasma and missile fire. But the human warship moved like liquid shadow, twisting and sliding through the barrage with impossible precision. Its return fire was devastating, each shot a beam of bending light that cut through armor as if it were paper. Within 5 minutes, the second cruiser was gone. The Bloodfang took multiple direct hits. Shields collapsing, decks rupturing, alarms screaming. Krell gritted his teeth. Retreat, full retreat, he ordered, but as his ship turned, the human vessel simply stopped firing. It made no attempt to pursue. It hung there in space, silent. Watching on the bridge, the comms officer's console lit up. Admiral, incoming transmission, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The screen flickered to life, showing a human officer in black armor, his expression calm, his eyes sharp. This was not an attack. The human said, his voice steady. This was a demonstration. Tell your Empress, the next time we come, we will not leave. The image cut off. The Bloodfang limped back to the nearest border station, its crew shaken. Word of the encounter spread quickly through the Empire. In the capital, the Empress listened to Krell's report in silence, her golden eyes unblinking. A single ship, she said quietly. One ship destroyed 2 of ours and crippled a third. Krell nodded grimly. They could have destroyed us all, but they didn't. Cerise, standing to the side, spoke for the first time. They are not just testing our strength. They are sending a message. They want us to know what they can do. And they want us to fear it. The Empress rose from her throne, her claws curling slightly. Fear is a weapon, and they are wielding it well, she said. But fear will not save them when the full might of the Zyrian Empire strikes back. Even as she spoke, she knew the truth. The humans had chosen their first move with precision. They had shown just enough to terrify her fleets, but not enough for her to measure their full strength. It was a predator's game, and the Zyrian Empire was now the prey. In the far reaches of space, at the edge of human territory, fleets began to gather, their warships moving like shadows between the stars. They did not rush. They did not announce their presence. They simply prepared. The first shadow had fallen, and the galaxy would never sleep easily again. Doom on the horizon. First shadow had left the galaxy shaken. The destruction of 2 Zyrian cruisers by a single human warship was a wound to the Empire's pride. But it was also a warning that many rulers had dismissed in the days that followed. Reports began flooding in from across the outer rim. The pattern was always the same. A human fleet would appear suddenly at the edge of a star system. They did not attack cities. They did not bomb planets. Instead, they took control of the space around the system, cutting it off from trade and supply routes on the mineral-rich world of Veltros. Merchant convoys waited in orbit for their usual escorts, but instead, they found a wall of black warships blocking every exit point. No shots were fired, no threats made. The humans simply stayed in position, silent, unmoving, their presence alone enough to freeze all movement in the Zakar system. The Empress's garrison fleet prepared to meet a human formation head-on. But before a single shot could be exchanged, the humans shut down every hyperspace lane in the area. The entire system was trapped. The Zyrian ships sat powerless, unable to call for reinforcements. Fear began to spread faster than any fleet. The humans were not acting like conquerors. They were acting like hunters, isolating their prey, cutting off escape. In the palace war room, the Empress stood before a giant galactic map. Red markers showed human activity. Each day, the red spread further. Her generals argued loudly. Some demanded immediate counterattacks. Others warned that the humans were too spread out to hit directly. Cerise leaned over the table, her voice low but firm. They are not spread out, they are positioning themselves. They are shaping the battlefield before the real fight begins. The Empress's golden eyes narrowed. Then we will break their lines before they close the trap, she declared. But even she knew the problem. The humans were not committing their full strength. They were using only pieces of their fleet, never revealing the full scale of their power. Meanwhile, rumors began to circulate in the neutral zones. Smaller alien nations reported that human envoys had visited them. The message was always the same: join us or stand aside. Some chose to ally with humanity, others tried to remain neutral, and a few foolish ones declared loyalty to the Zyrian Empire. Those who sided with the humans began receiving advanced weapons and shield technology, their fleets suddenly stronger than before. Those who stayed loyal to the Empress found their trade routes blocked and their stations abandoned by allies. The Empress summoned the rulers of these wavering states, but many refused to come. Those who did spoke with careful words. They feared the Zyrian Empire, yes, but they feared the humans more, from the safety of deep space. Human fleets continued to strike at supply lines. A convoy carrying fuel to the Empress's main shipyards vanished without a trace. Another carrying rare metals was found drifting, its crew alive but shaken. They claimed they had been boarded by humans who took only the cargo and left without harm. The message was clear. The humans could take anything they wanted, whenever they wanted. In the capital, panic began to grow among the citizens. The once unshakable image of the Empress now carried the shadow of doubt. The market whispers spoke of human ships already inside Zyrian space, cloaked and waiting. Some even claimed the humans could appear over the capital world itself without warning. Then, one evening, as the twin suns set behind the spires of the palace, Cerise entered the throne room with a sealed report. She bowed and handed it to the Empress. "You need to read this alone," she said, her tone grave. The Empress broke the seal and scanned the words quickly, her eyes widening just slightly. The report confirmed her darkest suspicion. The 3,000 warships she feared were not the main fleet. They were only the vanguard. The rest of the human fleet was still gathering in the Sol system, larger and more powerful than anything yet seen. The humans had not even committed half of their true strength. The Empress closed the report slowly, her claws pressing against the edges until the crystal cracked. Her voice was calm, but inside she felt the cold grip of realization. "They are not coming to test us anymore," she whispered to herself. "They are coming to end us." Outside the palace walls, the galaxy kept turning, but in the hearts of rulers, merchants, and soldiers alike, the same truth settled in. The horizon was no longer safe. Doom was moving toward them, slow and certain. And somewhere in the darkness, unseen by any eye, the main human fleet waited, ready to blot out the stars. The day the sky turned black, the warning signs were there for weeks. Whispers in the corridors of power, empty trade lanes, strange disappearances along the borders. But no one was ready for the day it truly happened. It began at dawn on the capital. World of the Zyrian Empire. The twin suns rose over the crystal spires of the city, their golden light spilling across the silver streets. The people went about their routines. Soldiers drilled in the parade grounds. Traders opened their stalls. Ships rose into the morning sky. Then the light began to fade. At first, it was thought to be a sudden storm, but there were no clouds in the sky, only darkness creeping slowly across the horizon. The palace guards looked up, their eyes narrowing. The shadow grew larger and larger until the suns themselves were dimmed. From the highest tower of the palace, the Empress stood at the great window, her gaze locked on the heavens, her golden eyes narrowing as she realized what she was seeing. It was not a storm, it was not an eclipse. It was a fleet. The black silhouettes of warships filled the sky, stretching from horizon to horizon, thousands upon thousands of them, moving in perfect formation, their hulls glinting faintly under the dying sunlight. The air was heavy with silence. The people in the streets stopped moving, staring upward. The sound of market chatter and engines faded until only the faint hum of the approaching armada could be heard. Inside the palace war room, alarms blared, generals shouted orders. Fleet commanders scrambled to rally what ships they could. But deep down they all knew the truth. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmaneuvered before the first shot was fired. The Empress called for a direct line to the lead human ship. Her voice was steady, but her claws pressed hard into the edge of the throne. "Show me who commands this," she said. The screen lit up, revealing a human figure in black command armor. His posture calm, his eyes cold but not cruel. "Empress of the Xyrian Empire," he said evenly. "Your time is over." Around him, the bridge of the human flagship was alive with quiet efficiency. No shouting, no chaos, just the focused precision of a fleet that knew it had already won. The Empress straightened, her voice sharp. "You come here with threats, but you forget who I am." The human's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. "We have not forgotten," he replied. "We have prepared for you," without another word. The communication ended. The human fleet began to move. Smaller formations broke away, descending toward the capital's orbital defenses. The Xyrian fleet rose to meet them, but it was like a moth flying into fire from the palace window. Empress watched as her proudest warships were erased in seconds. Beams of bending light sliced through their hulls. Explosions lit the sky like dying stars. Her ships fought desperately, but for every human vessel destroyed, 10 more took its place. In the streets below, citizens screamed as shockwaves rolled. Across the city, the ground trembled, and still, the sky remained black with ships. But then something strange happened. The humans did not begin planetary bombardment. They did not turn the capital into rubble. Instead, they spread their fleet across the entire sky. Their warships forming a silent wall over the world. Every port, every landing bay, every escape route blocked. From orbit, they cut off the capital completely. No ships in, no ships out. They did not need to destroy the Xyrian Empire. They were taking it alive, piece by piece. The Empress's generals begged her to evacuate, but she refused. "If they take me, they take the Empire," she said coldly, but deep inside, she knew the Empire was already theirs. In the throne room, Cerise appeared at her side, her voice low. "They could have destroyed us instantly, but they haven't." The Empress glanced at her sharply. "Why?" she asked. Cerise's eyes were grim. "Because they want everyone to see. They want the galaxy to watch you kneel." The Empress's jaw tightened, her pride burning even as the truth cut deep. The humans were not just fighting a war. They were rewriting the balance of power. For all time above, the largest human flagship moved into position directly over the palace, its shadow swallowing the city completely. A final transmission came through, the same calm human voice as before. "Surrender your fleets and your throne, Empress, or we will take them." The chamber was silent, every advisor watching her, every guard holding his breath. The Empress looked at the floor for a long moment, then at the sky, her eyes burning with fury and something else, the knowledge that her reign was truly over. She did not answer, but outside, the human fleet waited, patient and unshakable. The day the sky turned black had come, and with it, the age of the Xyrian Empire had ended.